This one is titled, Is Being Fat Unhealthy? Yes. We don't even have to watch the video. So again, another response to a comment on TikTok. Notice how people that over-engage in the comments are the most unscrewed. The comment says, being rude to fat people is absolutely wrong, but being fat is not healthy at all. A lot of these comments are just uber based. They're just super based. Being rude to fat people is absolutely wrong. Being rude, again, I always say, be kind. Respect is earned. I'm not saying disrespect people, but be kind to people. And then you can respect them if they earn your respect. You don't trust people implicitly. They have to earn your trust. But just be kind to people. If you don't know them, be kind to them. If they're a dick back to you, then you can adjust. And you'd be like, whoa, what the fuck is it? And just separate yourself from the situation. But I guess it's being kind to people, and then they can earn your respect and trust. You don't just respect people, period. You could be kind and respectful. Being kind and respectful is different than respecting someone. Okay. So being rude to fat people is absolutely wrong. Being wrong to anyone. It doesn't have to be fat. Just being rude for no reason. Yeah, that's not nice. But being fat is not healthy at all. That's also true. Okay, let's see what we got here.
What's in the box?
Let's see what we got here. Is being fat unhealthy? Yes.
The statement that being fat is always unhealthy is not true. And I don't think we should ever use a blanket statement to categorize an entire group of people. Yeah, being at any extreme end of a body weight scale has adverse health risk associated with it. Being fat does not make you unhealthy.
Being fat doesn't make you unhealthy. Being unhealthy will make you fat more often than not. Being fat is a sign that you're not taking care of yourself. In the absolute moment, if you took blood work, do you have all the things that show off the charts? Right? Do you have to have diabetes in the moment? It doesn't happen overnight. So again, exceptions don't make the rule. If you're fat, you're not on the right track. Let's put it that way. How are you defining unhealthy? Again, these are vague terms. What does unhealthy mean? Being fat doesn't mean you're unhealthy. You have to define that now. We can't just say these things. Yes, like by most people's standards, yeah, it's not healthy. Well, you're saying just because you're fat doesn't mean you're unhealthy. How are you defining it, sweetheart? It's not just A1C. It's not just blood pressure. Okay.
Issues that are associated with being in a larger body are correlated in the majority of studies that I've seen anyway. And correlation does not equal causation. You can't claim that being fat is the cause for the adverse health effects.
Okay, so this correlation doesn't mean causation. How do you actually prove 1,000%? You can't. Every study is flawed. So this is always going to be an argument. Correlation doesn't mean causation. Bro. Again, exceptions don't make the rule. And you can use this correlation causation argument about anything just to use it as like a get out of jail free card.
Some studies have shown that having extra body fat actually has some health benefits. There's such a thing called the obesity paradox, and it kind of depends what you're qualifying here as fat. But like, for example, if we have to use the BMI, which by the way is complete nonsense, some studies show that having an overweight BMI is associated with a lower mortality risk. There are some benefits to having additional body fat. No.
What, like bone density because the earth is jacking you right into the ground because you have more mass?
Of course, there's research that supports both sides of this, but the main point that I'm making is that we cannot apply this blanket statement across all bodies in all contexts. Being fat doesn't make you unhealthy, and being thin doesn't make you healthy either. I know plenty of people, myself included, who are the least healthy at their thinnest.
Because you're starving yourself and not eating properly. Look, if you take care of yourself, you're not going to be fat. And you're not going to be skinny either. You'll be fit. Fit.
It's not as black and white as we used to believe it was. A person can be fat and healthy, but equally.
Not temporarily, maybe. Again, how are you judging this? I'm going to say no, because I don't like your voice. I'm not a fan of your face either. So I'm going to disagree with you.
Someone's health is none of your business. Being healthy isn't the marker of a worthy person either.
Oh, okay. Healthy isn't, Jesus Christ. You see the common theme? If I hear anyone trying to defend obesity by saying the word worthy again, that answers all the questions. You could say everything that you said before that, you could just toss it out the window. Not being fat doesn't mean that you're worthy. Again, how many times have you heard the term worthy in these videos? They don't love themselves. They didn't get hugged enough as a child. They didn't get enough attention from their parents or something. They don't feel worthy. It's low self-esteem. They're not confident. They feel out of control with their life because they're not controlling their life. They're not controlling what they can control. So they're projecting their insecurities onto all of us and our language that we use. Oh my God, there are mean people out there in the world. At least there's no fucking Mongols just raping the universe. All right? Genghis Khan is not just eradicating humanity. All right? It's not, let's not act like you have it fucking tough. So anyway, when you say it's none of my, oh, that's a nice cope. Well, why does it trigger you, Papa? It's none of my business. Well, you're dragging our economy through the gutter. You have people that are less able to work and produce. You're a burden on the healthcare system. Everyone's healthcare insurance and costs and medical costs and pharmaceutical costs go through the roof. You are the ones that get, like, from COVID, right? The vast majority of people were obese, had existing heart disease, respiratory issues, blood pressure issues. Those are the people that had the complications. They had underlying conditions that, a novel virus expose. So there's that. So again, it comes down, this worth stuff is ridiculous. Anytime you use the term worth, we're not having the same conversation. You want people to praise you for doing nothing. You want people to praise you for being fat and not being disciplined and not taking care of yourself. That's not going to happen from myself. That's not going to happen here. I'll be kind. I'm not going to spit on you. I'm here to help, but you have to want to help yourself. This whole worthy stuff is not even, it doesn't mean it. What does worthy mean? What is worthy? I'll read what she said. Being healthy isn't the marker of a worthy person either. I'm worthy. No, I'm just healthier. I'm just healthy. I just take care of myself. I have some discipline. I can accomplish tasks and be consistent. Oh, I'm worthy. Nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. Yeah, universal healthcare, UBI, all these things, they're just, it's just another excuse to print money. All these entitlement programs like Social Security, these are all just, it's just a drain on our society. It's just a drain. There's so many things wrong with all these entitlement programs. You have these situations where, like, unemployment and things can actually help people so they don't, like, fall into, like, extreme poverty. But then you have, it gets to the point where people just manipulate the system and stay on these things and don't look for work because they're getting handouts. It's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. I'm no expert in it, but that's just a straight up bare truth. People get, when you give people something for nothing, it doesn't lift them up out of poverty. It doesn't entice them to put any work in, like the COVID, like, free checks and this and that. People humans are not inspired and not encouraged by handouts. It's like giving kids allowance for doing nothing. You do chores, you execute, and you can earn money. That's different. That's different. And any of you that are parents, that works. You just can't give kids money because then they're entitled. They just feel like they deserve it for nothing. You got to put in work. Okay. Frank, she who pulls the donut from the fridge is worthy to rule Camelot.
Are there any women here today?
Yvonne, I love how they ignore the decades of evidence proving that your health declines when you're fat because of correlation does not equal causation. Again, any individual study, there's something to counter it, right? Depends on the sample size, depends on how the study's done. It depends on how you interpret the study. You can't just read an article. Oh, this study says. People just read headlines and think, hey, well, that's what it means. It's how you interpret it. It's how the data was collected. It's how the data was displayed. Sometimes just because there is a difference doesn't mean it's a significant difference. That's a statistical thing, that just because one might be 0.00%, it might be a little bit higher, doesn't mean that it's statistically significant, meaning like, hey, doing A versus B is so much better. It might objectively be better, but not to the point where it actually results in a difference. So if you're doing a test and the percentage change, like you're testing two different things, one might be quote better than the other based on numbers, but not statistically significant enough to be like, hey, this is definitely a better approach. It just might be like, yeah, it's a little bit higher than the other, but it's not enough to actually lead to any conclusions. So it's really how you interpret it. Then you have all these people that aren't scientists that don't know how to read data, and it's challenging. It's hard to actually know what you're looking for and know how a test can be executed and what the pitfalls are and how it's actually interpreted. So this is why science is not. That's why there's many studies on the same thing. You have to study different age groups, different sample size, different populations. There's a lot of variables. That's why nutritional science is such a fucking hot mess, because there's so many variables that affect it.